Sayın Bakan Yardımcım, sayın büyükelçilerim, sayın başkanlarım, çok önemli bir başka panelle devam ediyoruz efendim. Türkiye ile Birleşik Krallık'ta yapay zekanın geleceği, liderlik, inovasyon ve güvenlik başlıklı panelimizde Türkiye ve Birleşik Krallık'ın bu alanda işbirliklerinin filizinin ateşlenmesini amaçlıyoruz. Efendim, moderatörümüz Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Londra Büyükelçimiz Sayın Osman Koray Ertaş Beyefendi'yi alkışlarınıza davet ediyorum. Hoş geldiniz efendim, buyurunuz. Kıymetli konuşmacılarımız, Sanayi ve Teknoloji Bakan Yardımcımız Sayın Profesör Doktor Ahmet Yozgatlıgil, alkışlarınızla. Hoş geldiniz efendim. Birleşik Krallık Ankara Büyükelçimiz Sayın Jill Morris, hoş geldiniz. Kıdemli büyük veri ve yapay zeka lideri Sayın Daniel Rodriguez Sierra. Hoş geldiniz ve söz Sayın Büyükelçim'de. Buyurunuz efendim.
Teşekkür ederim. Malumunuz bu panel İngilizce olacak. Dolayısıyla müsaadenizle İngilizceye geçiyorum. Welcome everybody. This is Osman Koray Ertaş, the Turkish ambassador in London. Today in this panel we'll focus on the future of AI in Turkey and the UK. Whilst we will look into the future of AI and this new phenomenon from our capitals, from London, Ankara, and from Europe actually, because Rodriguez is based in Milan now. We will also focus on the potential bilateral opportunities between the two countries, between Turkey and the UK. The fact that I just came all the way from London to Ankara for this is also a significant message that we are giving to the importance that we are giving to this relationship. Before introducing our panelists, let me also commend the work of IPA last year. During London Tech Week, I met with Zafer Bey and his friends, and I met with Ulaş Bey as well, who is a representative of IPA in the UK. When they approached me and asked whether I can host a panel, IPA panel in London, I immediately said yes. So we had a successful, I guess, first ever event of IPA abroad, and I'm so happy to hear that these series will continue, starting with Paris, Brussels, Beijing, and other places. And I commend Zafer Bey and his friends and all the volunteers for their efforts to raise awareness in this important topic in my country, in Turkey. So let me introduce our speakers. Probably everybody knows Deputy Minister Professor Yozgatlıgil. He just arrived from Seoul today. He's actually a mechanical engineer, graduate from Middle East Technical University. He has a PhD in energy studies from Drexel University. He has been an academic and researcher at various universities and scientific institutions, including, again, METU, University of Maryland, National Institute of Standards and Technology in the US, NASA, Glenn Research Center, JAMIC in Japan, CNRS in France. He also held senior roles in various positions at METU. He was vice rector before becoming deputy minister. METU Teknokent, İzmir Biomedicine and Genome Center, TÜBİTAK Uzay, and TÜBİTAK Marmara Research Center, as well as Aselsan. So I think we are lucky to have someone like him in this position. Ambassador Jill Morris, a good friend of us, we are almost talking on a weekly basis from London to Ankara. There's always a hotline among us. She's a seasoned career diplomat. Before Ankara, she served as the British ambassador in Rome, and she had various positions in the Foreign Office of the UK, and she served as Europe Director in FCO before, which makes her quite knowledgeable about our country and the region. And thank you, Jill, for being part of this panel as well. And we have Daniel Rodriguez Sierra. We came with him yesterday from the airport, a highly skilled and accomplished leader with over 2 decades of experience in data analytics and AI, specializing in driving businesses and digital transformation and adding value to business working across the whole data value chain. He is currently serving as the director of Big Data and AI at Vodafone and based in Milan. He has studied physics, marketing, telecom business management, data mining, machine learning, AI, all these important areas at the same time. So the whole panel is supposed to be 45 minutes only, and probably I stole already 5 minutes of it. So I kindly request each panelist to be mindful of the time. I plan to have 2 rounds of discussion. So let me start with Deputy Minister Yozgat Ligil. Deputy Minister, you just arrived from Seoul, probably. People would like to hear about what is happening internationally on this important topic, especially on AI ethics and safety. But before that, if you can elaborate on our government's stance of AI and these disruptive new technologies. The Minister has a comprehensive presentation, but still it will be great to hear these both aspects, the Turkish position plus where the international community is heading towards on AI safety and ethics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. And it's a pleasure to be speaker here on this significant panel with such distinguished participants. As you mentioned, I'm going to go short on this first question because our government, our minister summarized very well about our government's position, and maybe I will put more emphasis about our international collaborations and how we collaborate with our partners. Actually, there's no need to mention about the importance of the digital technologies, and it is a huge market with around 13 trillion US dollars and growing around 14% every year. Of course, with AI, we have the potential to unlock new frontiers of knowledge and accelerate innovation. However, alongside this growth and potential advantages, it is important to recognize AI also presents vulnerabilities and including ethical considerations, security, reliability, and privacy. So, as governments, it's our responsibility to mitigate the risks related to AI and ensure that the frameworks are technologically feasible and also socially acceptable. So we have been taking necessary steps to harness AI as a catalyst for transformative change, drive sustainable progress, and promote inclusive growth. All relevant stakeholders have been fully engaged in these activities, as they are not only the affected parties, but also they play an important part in all processes, from preparation to decision making. So as we embark on a path towards AI-driven future, Turkey remains steadfast in its commitment to promoting the responsible use of AI based on the principles of transparency, accountability, and human-centered design. So society plays a very important part also in design, and innovation and research. Therefore, it has to be human-centered. That's a very important approach. Of course, as our minister explained very well, this approach aligns very well with the National Technology Initiative and our National Artificial Intelligence Strategy since 2021. Of course, a strategy from 2021 is for AI applications or for AI is not, it requires to be updated very frequently. But of course, we are working on that. We are constantly updating and also following so that this strategy places a strong emphasis on the promotion of AI development, but also upholds the human rights, democratic values, and fundamental freedoms. Our objective is to establish a globally recognized and sustainable AI ecosystem that will generate a value for prosperous Turkey. So we are working very hard on this. As I said, we have several. The strategy identifies very strategic priorities in the field of AI, which includes increasing employment opportunities, supporting entrepreneurship, strengthening infrastructure, and enhancing access to quality data and fostering international cooperation. And we have, at every item, we have an important amount of work that has been done. So, to assure this effective progress in our strategy, we have designed a two-tiered agile governance mechanism taking into account the main pillars of our strategy: institutional competence, governance, and strategic alignment. In this regard, we have established an inclusive ecosystem to ensure multi-stakeholder cooperation, comprising several working groups, bringing together the public, private sector, academia, and NGOs. So we commence with the establishment of the working groups on AI law and ethics, trustworthy and responsible AI, technical infrastructure and platforms, and human resources and data governance. We have been able to effectively follow the needs of the industry and establish new ones. So we have established this Artificial Intelligence Institute to foster the growth of the AI ecosystem and promote collaboration among stakeholders. The details also was provided by our minister, but this Artificial Intelligence Institute acts as a platform, bringing together the government, the private sector, and universities, and working towards the people. So this, we have several calls, and public AI ecosystem project call, and several other calls, including fintech, smart production, smart agriculture, health, climate change, and e-commerce technologies. Lastly, I want to say that in our governance, we would like to develop the trustworthy AI stamp to certify that AI products and services comply with the relevant ethical and legal frameworks. And also, we have been developing the National Risk Management Framework for AI, which will provide the basis for the audit mechanisms and mitigate the risks in the design, development, use, and evaluation of AI. So, in this round, I'd like to...
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's actually great to see that in this area, which is still fledgling, the regulation of the field, our government is already doing a lot and aware of all the international currents, and probably will be continuing to be one of the leading countries in this effort. Ambassador Gilmore, I think we also feel the huge impact of AI in our diplomatic profession as well. ChatGPT is only less than 2 years old, and it is part of our life already. We have been constantly using it. And we were just gossiping with Erdem Bey a while ago about simultaneous translators. As you know, for many years it was so difficult to find this profession. It's a unique position, but now probably with the new version of GPT-4 Plus, I guess this profession will disappear soon. And imagine it's only 4, so what will happen in 8 or other, hopefully Turkish LLM models. From where I stand in London, I'm seeing that your government is also showing an increasing interest and emphasis on AI and innovative technologies. The tech ecosystem is valued at over $1 trillion in the UK. And you also led the first international summit on AI safety, which Deputy Minister Yozgat Tigil also participated a couple of months ago. And obviously there are different approaches to ensuring AI safety as well, and ethics issues. So what is your country's general approach on AI in general and on the issue of AI governance?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much indeed for choosing on this panel to shine a spotlight on the opportunities that there are for the United Kingdom and Turkey to collaborate together, how our experts, our innovators, and our leading businesses can realize this transformational potential of AI but as Ambassador, as you were saying, doing that in a responsible and a safe way. So thank you for choosing to focus on that here today, and thank you also to AI Policies Association for bringing us together today and for giving me the opportunity to be on this very distinguished panel. Well, in the UK, as in Turkey, as we've been hearing today from the Turkish government, we really believe that the AI technologies are going to bring a transformation to our economies and to our societies that's as great as the Industrial Revolution, the coming of electricity, and the birth of the internet, and all of those together, probably. So as we've seen with every wave of industrial and technological advancement, AI brings new knowledge, it brings new opportunities for economic growth, new advances in human capability, and the chance to solve problems that we once thought that as the human race we would never be capable of solving. But like all of those previous waves of technological change, it also brings risks and challenges, and they need to be now, as it is emerging and growing at such a rate, need now to be identified and managed, and a real focus for us in the UK and internationally with our partners like Turkey is to give our citizens the peace of mind that with these new technologies coming online, that their governments have been thinking about those safety and security aspects, while making sure that our citizens can harness the real opportunities for betterment, for improvements in daily lives that AI brings, also at the same time giving them that security that their governments are thinking about the risks and have their safety and security in mind. So we're doing that in the UK. We've been doing that in three ways. Firstly, making sure that we are creating a world-leading innovation business environment. Secondly, we are putting in place, also in the UK, AI regulatory frameworks, and we have been approaching this from the principles of transparency, accountability, and inclusivity as the structuring principles for those regulatory frameworks that also safeguard against safety concerns. And thirdly, no one country on its own, like so many opportunities and challenges in the world, can address this issue alone. So collaborating internationally is fundamental to our approach. So we have the pro-innovation business environment, and we're home in the UK to a third of Europe's total AI companies, and twice as many as other European countries. The AI market's currently valued at around £20 billion, and that's growing and growing. By 2035, it's estimated that the UK's AI market will add over £1 trillion to the UK economy. And 2035, when you think about it, it's not that far away. So we expect use of AI by UK businesses to more than double in the next 20 years. So there's absolutely that transformative potential to drive growth, improve public services, and improve the quality of life for its citizens. And then secondly, you asked Ambassador about safety and regulation. That regulatory framework I referred to earlier, that's based on principles of transparency and inclusivity, we're also designing that to make sure that it is pro-innovation, that it doesn't stifle innovation. We need to get the balance right between protecting safety and security, but at the same time, not stifling the innovation that is so critical. So regulation needs to be proportionate we believe, to the risks. And this proportionate approach to regulation, in our view, will enable that responsible application of AI to flourish in the future, so that we can really collectively, internationally harness the benefits of it, instead of creating really heavy rules that will apply in a blanket way to all technologies and crush that innovation. We are proponents of frameworks that make sure that we're focusing on the use of our AI through our regulation, rather than on the technology itself. So regulation becomes enabling at the same time as addressing safety and security concerns. Thank you very much. I'll leave it there for now. Thanks.
I think both governments have similar attitudes on regulation versus innovation. So the proportionality of the steps that the government should take in the future. So Daniel is probably one of the best names that we can talk about the immense opportunities that AI is bringing to our societies and obviously to the workspace. So as an expert and someone who has been following the trends in this field, how do you see the dramatic changes that AI and other technologies are bringing to the workspace? We already heard about numbers. Millions of people will lose their jobs, but again, millions of jobs will be created with the new technologies.
So first of all, I want to really thank the opportunity. This is a really
There should be a green light over there.
Now? Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank IPA for being part of this incredible panel. It is really an honor, really an honor. So I will try my best. They say that you can't, you can't predict Sunday's weather to high precision. And they say that if your predictions are not crazy enough, they're probably not right, right? And when we speak of AI, this is all the more true. But let's start by basically saying that AI, or some form of AI, has been around for a long time. And companies, particularly, because it is in the private sector that much of this is driven, and we will probably discuss a bit more about that later, have been using these techniques, particularly with the online world, where humans can no longer take care of interactions, have been using these techniques not only to make things more efficient, but to make these things possible. The online world needs this. So forms of machine learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning have been around for a long time. This is what we've been working very hard on. Now, because of the advent of Gen AI, the adoption levels, this is something that's not been said today at least, the adoption levels of this are unprecedented. So internet is a pale paragon to what's happening with Gen AI. Everybody's using this, right? And the reason is that these systems are trained for human interaction. They deal with language. They deal with understanding, quote unquote, and they're very good at telling the story of what they seem to have understood. So this means that the first thing the first impact is the pervasiveness of AI. It is not going to be everywhere. It is already everywhere. You have just yourself said that in the diplomatic profession you're already using it, right? I hope to some good use, because these things hallucinate, and it is just a joke, by the way. The thing with this is when November 22 kicked in, my CEO called me and said, we've got to get on this. And I said, we definitely do. And I looked him up, or I wrote a script for ChatGPT with his name, who is Aldo Bisio, and off came that he had been the CEO of Vodafone up until 2020. This was 2 years on. Okay, you could say that was kind of okay. Then he said that his previous job had been CEO of another big company, and that was okay. But then he started creating things like he'd had positions in a number of telecommunication businesses and so on and so forth. And I cut that thing and pasted it and sent it over to him and said, we've got to get on this, but be careful, because these things have these problems. So with this comes fantastic use that's being used, as we know, as assistants, tools for personal use, brainstorming, drafting. The first drafts of many things are today done on ChatGPT, and that is all very well. In the business, this is the private sector, in companies, there are a number of use cases where the general AI and this particular AI are being used all across the value chain. So you've got the typical predictive models for anything that has to do with actions of any kind, right, that deal with customers or that deal with predictions. That has existed for some time, and it's put to good use. Many of these recommenders, as they are called, are fully automatic. So that has changed the way, for instance, companies do marketing, right? Then anything that has to do with automation, of course, requires these techniques and is being used there. One of the latest uses of Gen AI algorithms is the categorization of conversations. So call centers and stuff like that. When people speak, the question is, what was that conversation all about? What is the key topic? And that is one of the big use cases. So you can imagine, if this is happening already, you've got to think that if you put all of these applications kind of side by side, there's no reason why a whole process may not be automated and dealt with by these technologies. So this brings with it, of course, a first challenge, which is filtering the clutter, right? Because there are a number of things that these algorithms do that are undecidable. It can say things that you're not sure, if you put them in automatic, you wouldn't be sure whether what they're saying is right or not, right? That's the first thing, and that's why we need some form of governance within these organizations to start thinking that all of these applications that are being used start to become kind of, as somebody did mention today, shadow AI. You know? So all of these things that we do by ourselves or that certain departments do by themselves, they become shadow AI in the big scheme of things, which would be a corporate architecture or a corporate platform. The second thing is exactly this. We need to integrate all of these things. They have to work alongside to realize the purpose of whatever this business is in a more efficient, faster, etc. way, right? And then, of course, there are the ethical implications. So some jobs will be automated, period. And some jobs will be enhanced. So I use the expression, which is not mine, by the way. Instead of AI as artificial intelligence, I use augmented intelligence, where every single worker in a company should, today, be using these things just as a stool in the kitchen, right? So to reach higher. And that solves a long-standing problem with qualifications for employees, for instance. So there's an opportunity. With the jobs that have to be automated, I am not a policymaker. I wouldn't know what happens. So there are reskilling programs. There are all numbers of things that can be done. But the world has seen this shift before. I don't think they cannot be managed. And then the second challenge, and this is to finish just to keep to time, is a stronger one. Because so far I've just commented the effects on companies and on the industry. But while they're still having the same operating model, they're still having the same purpose, they do what they do. The disruption, the next disruption, is about changing the business. So the AI may change the business of that company, and it may certainly change the operating model. So operating models will change accordingly. So if you think of Amazon, their operating model has nothing to do with more or less more brick and mortar companies such as the one I work for. And then lastly, there is this worry of what's, today they did mention general AI and this thing called the singularity, where the systems might become exponentially intelligent. So they'll start feeding themselves and then will be far more intelligent than any human, right? Again, as prediction goes, I heard an expert last week saying that's going to be 10 years. 10 years is tomorrow, right? And he very prudently said, and I don't know what's going to happen, right? So if singularity hits, there is no saying what exactly might happen. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of work to do, and there is this thing about the building the ethical part of AI into the AI. And one way to keep this is what is general agreement in the AI community is that the solutions will always have to be kind of symbiotic with a human. So hybrid solutions where there is an algorithm working with a human to do a task or to do something. And that should be not only, it's not just to keep it safe, it's because that's the way it works the best. So there's a statistic that says that somebody doing radiology, just by his profession, has a precision percentage, I think it's about 75%, and an algorithm by itself, it's a bit less, but together they go to 95%, right? So a human plus an algorithm does much better than both of them isolated. And so just to close, the opportunities, in my opinion, outgrow the risks, but the risks have to be taken care of with the right governance and with people who understand whether these things are even right or wrong, at least from the industry I belong to perspective.
Thank you. So some of your examples are quite exciting and fascinating, actually, but these are also frightening things, or challenging, to say the least. But still, it shows that the next couple of years will probably be dominated by discussions between pro-improvement or pro-innovation versus pro-regulation. And already we are seeing differences between the US and the EU on this. The difference in UK is probably in between. But the true thing, as all panelists underlined, it really needs international collaboration and constant dialogue, which we have been part of. So if you allow me, we can have a second tour focusing on international partnerships and especially the relationship and potential between Turkey and the UK. And Deputy Minister Yozgat Ligil, as our minister also underlined, in our national strategy, partnerships are a key pillar. And as we have seen in the last couple of years with the UK, we are also increasing our partnerships. Turkey's invitation to the first AI Safety Summit is a significant marker of that partnership. So how do you see in general our relations with potential partners in the world, including the UK?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, I mean, international collaboration is very important. I have just returned from Seoul this morning, and I attended the first AI Safety Summit at Bletchley Park. And as a continuation of that effort, there was again AI Seoul Summit co-hosted by Korea and UK as a successor to the Bletchley Summit. I mean, the challenges addressed here requires a collaborative, coordinated, balanced, and evidence-based approach, and ensuring the convergence of international AI principles and frameworks is a shared responsibility. Of course, international cooperation has the potential to address the multiple challenges we face while fostering innovation and economic growth. And global efforts on AI should definitely ensure broad participation and consensus. This is essential to prevent the widening of existing gaps and to ensure equitable access to the benefits of AI. So in a nation or internationally, when it comes to taking advantage of the artificial intelligence, as a famous saying, we should leave no one behind. It includes the developing countries and all the people in the society. So if decisions are taken only a few countries, it will suffer from the reduced international legitimacy and global impact. And as we can see from our recent history, mechanisms established without consensus lose their power and global reach over time. So to ensure the development of rapidly evolving AI for the benefit of humanity, all stakeholders should take responsibility and actively engage in this transformation. So first of all, in terms of international collaboration, there are various organizations like G20, G7, OECD, GPAI, UNESCO, and also the movements led by United Nations, UK started in Bletchley Park. So all these are, actually they have similarities, but they should reach a consensus in terms of taking into account the safety and safe use of AI internationally. Of course, it shouldn't prevent innovative efforts, but there should be a balanced approach to that. And when it comes to our partnership with UK, I mean, we have really very close relations with UK in the AI and digital technologies, and as Mr. Ambassador summarized, UK is a leading market and it's going to grow, and we are very happy about it. But we believe that there's a unique opportunity to promote dialogue and deepen our cooperation between our countries. Actually, I have the opportunity to meet with several officers in UK. I met with Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, Michelle Donlan, during the Bletchley Summit, and also in Korea too. Yeah. And last week also I had a bilateral meeting with the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State, Lord Cameras, and our Minister Mehmet Fatih Kacı was in London last week and had a series of meetings. So we have very good high-level communications, and it is really satisfying to see that our expert teams also have a very close connection, both between ministries and embassies. And we have actually a number of opportunities for cooperation with UK that we are discussing. And Turkey and UK are members of and cooperate in many international organizations, including but not limited to G20, OECD, and GPAI. And building on these multilateral efforts, we are currently engaging in organizing the Turkey-UK AI Values Dialogue this year as a bilateral cooperation mechanism. And we are also exploring avenues for cooperation between AI Institute of Turkey and AI Safety Institute of the UK. And I believe that this cooperation between these institutes has great potential. And as I mentioned earlier, although we don't have a separate institute focusing on the AI safety and ethics, there's an expert unit working on safety and risk management under the National AI Institute. And in Seoul, it was announced that Britain also established their institute about the AI ethics. So we would like to learn also from this experience, and maybe this expert unit working on the safety and risk management can transform into a separate institute working on the AI ethics. And I would like to thank the efforts of both Ambassador Ertaş and Ambassador Morris in facilitating all these dialogues. And we are confident that we will maintain the momentum we have gained, and we are keen to build on it. Thank you.
We thank you, Mr. Deputy Minister, for spending time and effort for the relationship. Jill, I guess our strategic partnership is yielding concrete results for both of our nations in trade, investments, green energy, green transformation, tourism. And I guess technology is another field that we start to continue to reap the benefits of the partnership. I am seeing increasing number of Turkish startups coming to London, either to look for partners or funding. Recently, a technopark of ours just opened a branch in London. So there have been a vibrant relationship between the two tech communities, and probably in 10 days' time during London Tech Week, we'll host many Turkish companies as well. Our trade minister is also supporting the whole trade participation on our end. And as Deputy Minister highlighted, we hosted our minister last week in London during Tech EU Summit, and Tech EU was actually a foreign initiative that was bought by a Turkish entrepreneur. So on this very event also we have seen many potential, what we call Turkorns, the potential unicorns of Turkey. And you also have, as government, many programs, funds available for partner countries. So if you can elaborate on how you see the bilateral relationship and relations with the private sector.
Indeed, thank you very much, Kari. Thank you, Ambassador. Well, within the framework of our long-standing, deep and strong strategic partnership, it is really exciting what we are now doing together as allies, friends, and partners in this very cutting-edge space around technologies. And I think just before I come to the sort of businesses and innovation side, picking up on a point that the Minister made, I do think that one of the real strengths in working together bilaterally in this area is because we have a shared vision on the international stage. We have a shared vision and we're working together internationally, multilaterally, as the Minister just described. And we are thinking very much in the same way around these questions of safety, ethics, and balancing that with innovation. So I think the fact that we've heard that today, that our governments are sharing that overall vision of AI in the world, including that we want it to be a common good. We want it to be a force for good in the world. As the Minister said, no one should be left behind, and we really believe in using the power of AI to address society's challenges, climate change, healthcare, protecting biodiversity, etc. So I mention that because I think that is an important framing for our bilateral work, our bilateral initiatives, that we are able to work so constructively together with a shared vision on the international stage. But yes, we are working on a number of programs and projects that will allow us to build partnerships between our businesses, as the Ambassador has mentioned, but also partnerships between our scientists and our researchers. When UK scientists and researchers get together with Turkish scientists and researchers, the data shows that they are very successful indeed, and among the most successful partnerships in the world. So we now have a global international science partnership fund, and Turkey is a priority for that fund. And this is unlocking new opportunities for Turkey's researchers and innovators to collaborate with British counterparts. And we're working on that in very close collaboration with TÜBİTAK, who are an important, valuable, critical partner for us here. So that's enabling new technological research, scientific collaborations between our countries. The British Council has also been allocating new funds, new grants to universities to undertake joint UK-Turkey AI research projects together. And it's a big focus for us this year. We really want to boost those opportunities for our scientists and researchers. And then we have Innovate UK, which is creating opportunities for companies from the UK and Turkey to explore joint innovation opportunities in AI. And we are supporting academics and the private sector in the UK and Turkey, those who are looking for partnerships, looking for partnership opportunities, we're supporting them to try and bring more of our experts together. The UK's reassociation with the EU's Horizon programme has also created further opportunities for British and Turkish innovators and academics to work together, for example, through the Eureka programmes. So beyond that really strong research collaboration that we already have, we are also working on, as we've said, on the regulatory and policy frameworks as well. We're very excited about the partnership that we have with the Ministry to launch the new dialogue, the new technical level dialogue on values and ethics and principles. And we're really, really grateful to the Minister Ahmed Bey for driving this forward. And this is going to bring together leading AI entities in our countries, the ministries, the research bodies, like the Alan Turing Institute, like TÜBİTAK's AI Institute, to discuss trustworthy AI. So on all levels, internationally, also nationally, and in all sectors, whether that is research, science, innovation, we are working together in a very, I think, effective way at the moment, and we are creating together, learning from each other, and creating that pathway to be both, as our countries, both leaders in this debate on the international stage, but also working bilaterally to make sure that we are supporting each other to enable the greatest possible benefit from AI technologies for our country's security, for our country's prosperity, as well as focusing on the question of values and ethics and safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. I humbly believe that regardless of the support from two governments, the current ever strong Turkish tech community, which is piling up in London, will continue to be a strong bridge between our two countries, regardless of the larger developments.
No, absolutely, and I should just add, if I may, I must say that pay tribute to your work and the work of your embassy in London. It was a very, very important contribution that is made in the United Kingdom by Turkish businesses, business people, researchers, students, academics, those who've chosen to spend some time in the United Kingdom are making an enormously positive contribution. And as you say, Ambassador, creating that people-to-people link between our two countries.
Hopefully so. So Daniel, you are someone who has experience in various settings. You're Argentinian, because the first question I asked him, are you Spanish? He said no. Italian, no. And then British, no.
Get it right.
So he has a huge experience in various countries, in the workspace. You also had a professional background in the UK as well, and in Turkey, in Istanbul. So given that huge experience in different cultural settings, if I may say, in the workplace, how do you see potential partnerships or the advantages or strengths of the Turkish ecosystem based on your experience?
Yeah, so of course the very fact that it's multicultural, for somebody like me, I have witnessed the value of multiculturality. This is not something just nice to say, it's a fact. It works better. It's more creative, it opens a number of possibilities. The fact that because you've been discussing, and it's music to somebody who works in the private sector, it's music to our ears to see people thinking of an ecosystem, right? Because what has to be built is an ecosystem. There are obvious needs for collaboration and partnership. Of course, the academic, that's been mentioned already. We've got to realize that this is a topic where most of the breakthroughs have come in the last 20 years from the private sector, right? But academia is there to consolidate things and hopefully to keep momentum, or correct when the purpose is not right, right? And then there is this thing about people, human resources, so qualified people. This is something universities should be taking care of, and it's a strategic plan, I presume, of individuals standing high in governments to think of the future qualifications of people to even have people to do this job. So R&D, education, that's basic. Then there's this thing about infrastructure, because somebody mentioned today quantum computing. Quantum computing is something that's emerging, it's not there yet, but it will probably allow us to treat problems that you couldn't treat before. So it's not just doing things faster, it's about a completely different ballgame. And to have a quantum computer is expensive, so you need partnerships. So you need like a shared resource that can be reused by many, right, in a way. And it's the power of that collaboration that will create the growth, or the exponential growth that we're expecting. As for the specifics, I just happened, because at the time I was a consultant, I came to Turkey to do work in telecommunications many times. And I particularly like Turkish professionals. I think there is a good blend between what I see in Europe, and I've worked in a number of countries in Europe, and the kind of creativity, ambition that the typical Turkish professional had, at least in my profession, and interactions were always creative and positive, always. And there's this hunger, right? That I live in Italy, I probably see less of. But again, I'm not a diplomat. I'm saying things I probably shouldn't say. But this is from a very personal standpoint, and having worked in many countries with many kinds of people, I think there's a huge opportunity here. And because the professionals I've worked with are highly qualified, right? So that is definitely a plus. There is one last thing I wanted to mention, which is something somebody a person from the UK who had built his own AI startup, sold it, became rich, and now was working in a different company, always in AI, said at a certain point, okay, now people like myself who've got it all, what do we do now? And he mentioned purpose. And it has to do with what the ambassador mentioned about the use cases I did not talk about, which is environment, a fair planet, all of these things that have to do with purpose. And I think there is a bunch of people in this environment who have all these ideas and power, who could be helped by governments who enable these things and put them to work immediately. And I'll just give it as an example what we did during COVID. So COVID was a very special moment in many ways. It was a kind of a vision to the future. Right? We had this kind of massive human experiment that we carried out for a couple of years. And we realized a number of things. So I was working with my team, we were working with my team, we have lots of location data. As you know, in Milan, the whole thing started. I was flying back from London, and I put my data scientist team, picked 5 of them at my will and said, you guys, we're going to work the weekend. We've got to come up with an algorithm that finds where this is coming from and where it's going, right? And the enthusiasm was immediate, and in 5 days, the guys had brought it together. And it wasn't easy to go to the government and get it used. right? We even wrote a paper on Cambridge University paper on this. But then, all of a sudden, cooperation started happening. And all of these organizations, the health organization and the civil protection, they were all working together at record speed. So again, I think that's where there's a huge amount of power that can be used, right? And I think that the enablement that a government can do, no one else can do. And I think that's where a major opportunity is. And across countries, just imagine.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess this panel just reconfirmed that we are at the brink of a new era, and every actor is trying to prepare its own position for what is coming quite fast. And the important takeaway is that to tap this huge potential, we need international partnerships. And not only that, to regulate of what is being coming, we also need collective action. I think we are just out of time. We did our job well. I don't know whether our panelists would like to add something else. So, according to my smartphone, it's already 45 minutes. Thank you so much for your consideration, and thank you to our panelists for being with us today. Thank you.
We would like to thank you for your speech. We want to give you a gift as a memory of today. Therefore, I want to invite Mr. Küçük Şabanoğlu once again. Sayın Osman Koray Ertaş, Londra Büyükelçimiz. Sayın Bakan Yardımcımız, Profesör Doktor Ahmet Yozgatlıgil. Birleşik Krallık Ankara Büyükelçimiz Sayın Jill Morris. Kıdemli büyük veri ve yapay zeka lideri Sayın Daniel Rodriguez Sierra. Fotoğraf. Thank you very much, sir and lady. Teşekkür ediyoruz. Sağ olun efendim.